Okay, part 4. So last time I left off with Melissa and James being here. They said it's okay if I use their names. But Melissa is the medium and James is the spiritual energy healer and Reiki master and other things. But they were at my house. And anyway, like one of the things that I had mentioned last time was like having a spiritual attachment, and I know that's kind of freaky. Like, well, I was like really freaked out by it. I like was so freaked out. I decided I was like, I wonder actually how common that is. So anyway, I looked it up, and like 75% of humans supposedly have either an attachment or will have an attachment in their lifetime, which just like gives me the chills because, ugh. Well, my like just experience with all this stuff in this house and like everything I've dealt with, but then also like, ugh. I don't even know how to describe it, but one of the things that I have learned, prior to like when I literally Googled how common is it, but one of the things that I had learned is like, before, is that it's like when your energy field, it's like really, really important to keep your energy field strong and your aura strong. Because if your energy field around you is weak, like if you're sad, depressed, struggling, ill, like whatever it may be, if your energy field is weak or there's like kind of a breach in it or a break in it, or it's easy to penetrate, I guess, that's when like you're most vulnerable to spirit attachments, because they can like easily kind of lock in on you as a target. And so I definitely was like run down, worn out, exhausted, all of that, like scared, terrified, in a whole new element of an environment when I had moved into this house. And I was going through everything I was going through between a divorce and my job at the time and all of that. So anyway, just, it's important to keep your chakras aligned, stay in balance, stay in tune. Mental, physical, emotional health, all very important to like have a strong energy field and aura. So anyway, now I feel like I'm gonna start like going to see, I don't know, a Reiki master or somebody who can like check me for attachments on a regular basis after learning that stuff tonight online or earlier today or whatever. But anyway, and then I had told them, Melissa and James, when they were at my house on June 19th, that it was okay for 4-year-old Edith to stay because I was kind of naive and, like I said, genuinely clueless to all of this realm. And yeah, so I agreed to that. And yes, we're gonna get there. But then one of the things that they had said, that they, that I needed to be doing affirmations, like that they had been told from their guides, like I needed to put up affirmations like around like my bathroom mirror or like wherever I am commonly, or like, where you walk out the door to your car, or like, wherever like you are most frequently by, whether it's, getting ready in the morning by a mirror or a nightstand, or at the back door on the way to like, out to the car, or how, wherever, or your office, or wherever you may be most frequently. But affirmations, like, I am a positive person, I am worthy, I am, you would just positive affirmations, like, I am kind, I am caring, I have good intentions, I am, a warm-hearted person, like whatever, just positive affirmations, right? Just like to kind of like reinforce like positivity and like self-esteem, and like it's healthy, I guess. So anyway, they had said like, put affirmations up like around in the bathroom, like around your mirror. And then they told me to like, I needed it to be journaling. And that was like a part of me being like, well, I'm not a medium and I have no desire to talk to anyone ever. And like, I don't even know how they think they could communicate with me, because I couldn't even talk to them if I wanted to, which no, never would I ever want to. But anyway, and they said, and Melissa had told me, she's like, well, journal. Like, you need to be journaling. She's like, it's good for healing. It's good to see thought patterns, like, over time. Like, it's just, like, really recommended. And, like, that was definitely not the first time I had been, like, advised to be journaling. But, like I said, I think, like, in my earlier videos, I'm a really good listener. So definitely didn't do that, or any of it. But I was just like, okay, very good advice. Get this stuff out of my house. Moving on. And then another thing is okay, so I really laughed at the sea salt thing, and that like was a takeaway from them being here that actually worked. So like, no bullshit. Okay, so after they were here that middle end of June or whatever, and from then on, Desmond would go to the backyard, and prior he would like lay in the yard and kind of like point at like that back corner of the fence, and then charge it, attack barking. Well, he from the like after the like they had come in, done the spiritual cleanse and readings and everything, Desmond would be like going all the way up to the fence and barking and charging at stuff like you could see like on the other side of the street, or catty corner off the back corner on the other side of the street, or toward like the front, like the yard, again catty corner across the street in the front. So I was like, okay, well clearly there's like still plenty of activity over there, but at least it wasn't in the backyard. Like, I mean, check, that's a win. At least, out of my yard. Okay, so then I was kind of like, the sea salt thing may actually be real. Okay, and then another thing that they had said is that to pay attention for, aside from like the journaling, positive affirmations, like, trying to get myself on track, was vivid dreams. And sure, occasionally have trippy dreams, and like to date I have had like a handful that have been like a very vivid dream, to the point of it's like I may or may not have actually had that conversation with somebody at a table, like sitting down talking. Like that to me, like there's been a couple that it's like the dream is all like almost more memorable than like certain real memories that I would say. But aside from that, like I had only like could recall like, one like really trippy dream that like I didn't think there was any chance could be real. But so yeah, in my entire life, I'd say at this point, like less than 5 that I would say would be like, I would describe as like a vivid dream, questionable alternate reality, or, somewhere between this realm and another. And so they were like, a lot of times spirit guides or people trying to communicate with you will do so through dreams. So, just like be aware of that. And I was like, okay, noted, whatever. Like I said, it didn't really apply to me at that moment. Well, so over the next, I'd say like week or so, so once they left, the house definitely felt better. I still could tell like, it's definitely this game isn't over yet. But it felt better. The yard, had like there were boundaries in the yard. Things were definitely calmer than they were. And then, I did know, I was like, well, I did like allow 4-year-old Edith to stay. So maybe like the little like, gentle noises or bumps or whatever. Maybe that's just her. I wasn't really confident that the demonic smoke monster in the crawl space was gone. But it felt better than before, so I just was going with it. And then I'd say like almost like a week after of them being here, one night it was like I kind of just like felt a shift in energy in the house, and Desmond's personality completely changed. It like reverted back to pre spiritual healer and medium coming on June 19th. He was like on edge and freaking out and panting and like wouldn't calm down, and there just seemed to be like kind of this like negative energy in the house again. Well, we go to bed that night, and all night long something messed with Desmond and I. One of the things that Melissa and James had said when they left was there may still be some residual spirit residual energy, meaning there has been a ton of activity here, and so be patient, and it might take like a week or two for things to fully calm down, settle down, whatever. And so, part of when I heard kind of little like bumps and noises or whatever, it was either like, well, maybe maybe 8-year-old Edith, or, maybe that's just kind of like residual energy, I guess. Anyway, and so, but when I went to bed that night, and there was kind of like a shift and stuff in the house, when I went to bed, like something all night long messed with Desmond and I. It was like, it almost like it would like kind of something would grab him, and he'd kind of like make a grumble noise and like hop off the bed and onto his like bed on the floor. And then it felt like something kind of kept like grabbing at my legs, and then it just like I couldn't get comfortable, or I'd wake up and it felt like something was like touching my shoulder, and it was just weird. That was actually not something I had experienced even prior. And so yeah, and then that was like a couple hours into sleeping, not really even. It felt like those stairs were back, from the corner of my bedroom again, that kind of feeling of I was being targeted, and those eyes were just on me again, and it just was this completely unsettling, things were not good again, pre to them coming to my house. More like that. Although this was some of the grabbing of shoulders, legs, messing with Desmond, that I couldn't really speak to happening before. Anyway, and so okay, so at some point during that night, I hardly slept that night, but I think I maybe finally fell asleep around 3:30 or 4, and a vivid dream. So, okay, so this is weird. Okay, so I finally fell asleep for about an hour, I'd say maybe 45 minutes. And I thought I had woke up to, it was so real, but it was only a dream. But anyway, it was as if I had woke up to somebody grabbing me out of my bed, and it was like if it were a human spirit, a spirit that was like a human, like a human spirit of a ghost, this somebody who's in limbo. So it was like a complete human type body, but it had like pulled me out, like grabbed me under my arms and like dragged me out of my bed. And I was like screaming and kicking, but like being dragged from like underneath my arms. And then I got dragged from my bedroom across the hallway and into my office, the room I'm in right now. And I was like, kicking and screaming. Desmond was like running alongside me, crying and whining and like trying to paw at the person, but they were invisible. And so he like wasn't making any progress. I couldn't like even get my hands around to get a grasp on them. But like I was like, being pulled through the doorway of my office, and I had like, was like kicking my legs like around like the corner of the door, like refusing to come in here because I like knew if I came in here then it was gonna be game over or something. Anyway, and so I'm kicking and screaming, and in my dream, I like well, it was a dream, but like, or nightmare or whatever, but I like screamed out for Edith to help. I was like, Edith, please help me. But then in my mind, in my dream, I was like, oh my God, what if it's Edith? What if she turned bad? And then I woke up and I was like, shit, this is not good. This is not good. Okay, and I definitely wasn't gonna say this part because, well, this is really odd. Okay. So, you know how 23-year-old Edith was in my office, and then sometimes her husband or ex-husband or whatever, he would be in the bathroom. Well, he was in the bathroom because they were hooking up in the bathroom. And like, I can't even say that with a straight face. I can't even make this up if you paid me. But that is initially why the medium was like, I'm not gonna go in the bathroom. Because yeah, 23-year-old Edith and her ex-husband, like, or husband at the time, or whatever, like hooked up in the bathroom. So at that point, hi Desmond. So at that point, I was like, well, either the Edith that stayed and she like actually turned bad, or because that guy like would pet my hair like and like on my arm sometimes and tell me I was pretty. Hi Des. Anyway, and I'm like, I am now probably in the middle of like spirit warfare. Screw this. Like, no, I'm not okay on any level with any of it going on. And I thought that I had just agreed to let 4-year-old Edith stay. And at that point, not 4-year-old, 8-year-old Edith. I don't know where I'm getting why 4 is in my mind. 8-year-old Edith stay. And at that point, I was like, I started texting James and Melissa, and I was like, okay, I need clarification of exactly what stayed in my house and how I am supposed to manage it going forward. And they, kind of were like, and this was like June 20th. So I think like the night of the vivid bad dream was June 25th. And then the 26th and 27th, I was texting both Melissa and James, like asking for clarification, like of what was still here and then how I'm supposed to manage or like run this household with my new friends or friends, whatever. And anyway, so Melissa was like, she did a reading, in a nutshell, she did a reading from afar. And she said that the 30-year-old Edith, who was confined to this unfinished storage room in the basement, she was still there and was having like traumatic experiences from the smoke monster. She said that the guy who had attached himself to me, the 1920s guy, that he was gone, but that 30-year-old Edith, she was in the basement. she was like having traumatic experiences where she could find herself because of the smoke monster or shadow thing, smoke monster, whatever. It's like kind of demonic, non-human entity in the crawl space, and that the crawl space thing was still there. So, and then she said that 23-year-old Edith was still here in the office, and then of course 8-year-old Edith, and then the 20-some-year-old guy from the bathroom, he came and went based on 23-year-old Edith still. And so, you know, there's kind of this quantum energy grid, and anytime there's a high traffic area, which my house is in a high traffic area, and what we were kind of hoping for the first time is if we cleansed the house, if we cleared it out, that, you know, I would be fine, that like it would all be completely managed and taken care of, even though my house was in a high traffic area. But we'll get to that anyway. And so but he would come and go if my house was like active with activity, I guess, or whatever. And so she said that, you know, she had asked, she was trying to tap in and like ask the different players here, like, you know, what the deal was, why things had like activity had spiked again, like why things didn't get taken care of like they should have. And the only message that was coming through was from 23-year-old Edith. And she just kept saying, and Melissa's like, it's really funny, I didn't expect to continue to get the same message again and again, like as she did the first time that she was here. But she said that 23-year-old Edith just kept saying she is meant to forge her own path, and she's going to forge a new path. She's meant to make she's meant to have a whole different career, make her whole own career out of stuff. Like she's meant to do her own thing, and she has to start doing it. She has to get on that path. And I'm just like, okay, you know, that is great that this gal feels so like invested or about this like career path I'm supposed to be on. But like, please, how do we just tell her to make the freak show stop? Because obviously I can't talk to anybody. Anyway, and so she just kept reiterating that. And then Melissa said from the medium, said from her guides, she just kept hearing like, from here on out, from this day forward, like, you know, let Grace know there's going to be massive growth and expansion for her, like from here on out. And it's just going to go. And I'm just like, what? Okay, hopefully that just means like I can get my ducks in a row, things calm down, I can kind of like blend in with some form of normal in my life. Like, anyway, but yeah, but the spiritual healer, he based on like these conversations and like what we were talking about and the activity that was taking place here, had decided that, you know, it was best if he just came back in person again and, you know, checked that, like, you know, kind of did a round two. And him and Melissa talked about what they were hearing that needed to be done. Oh, and another thing Melissa had said is that my house, like originally they were trying to figure out if it was my house that was haunted, if it was the land. Like it was kind of odd that all this stuff like had, you know, it was only about a week before things kind of pivoted again. And she said like it's the land, and like your house is in an area that's kind of like in an in-between world. And she said she's like, it's weird. She's like, I don't really see this very often, but you know, there's some type of like a limbo where it's like your house is in between like this reality and another, like the whole area that I'm in. Which like made sense, but like even though I didn't really understand it. So anyway, James came back a second time, and that was July 2nd. And at that point, he had he did a whole like spiritual cleanse of the house again, and then he in the crawl space, he went into the crawl space and he salted it, like sea salted it, and then used holy water, and then like put out a ton of selenite crystals and black tourmaline crystals, which, yeah, like to promote good and like uh, deter negative energies and all of that. And the smoke monster, Melissa had told me was, anything that's kind of, it's demonic or it's a negative, low density energy, it typically does take longer to clear out because it's kind of like, it's more of like an oily substance, so to speak. So it takes longer to like dissipate it and get it, resolved and taken care of. And one of the things that James had said when he came back here was, he said, I completely, the people that he works with and recommends or whatever, he said, he said, I absolutely respect everyone's opinion and they're all very qualified. He said, personally for me, he said, I would not recommend spirit staying because even if they're good spirits, they still require human energy. So you know how like if you're alive, you eat food, you drink water, and then you can connect yourself to source or creator, higher self. Like you have access to like unlimited energy, so to speak. And but if you die and you don't go into the light for whatever reason, and then you end up as a spirit in limbo or a ghost, well then you still have to maintain your existence, but you don't have those normal options. So that is why they have to feed off human emotion as their source of energy. And yeah. And then that's also why they attach to like feel more human. Anyway, and so yeah, at that point I was like, okay, well, initially I did not even know I was agreeing to having all three of the Ediths stay because that just seems like a little too much activity no matter how nice anyone is. And then I am not like interested in communicating with spirits or, at that point in time, anyone from a different realm. And yeah, and I was like, no, I wish I would have, known this. It's not comfortable for me. And some people who like are very familiar with the spirit realms, mediums, others, like they know how to hold their energy. They know how to set boundaries. They have no problem. Like, so, it's kind of like, I guess I've learned like, it's a case by case basis, like what each person is used to, what they recommend, their background, whatever else. For me, nah, it's a no-go. Anyway, so when we did the spiritual cleanse, James had, took care of the smoke monster situation, and then he cleared out, all remaining spirits that were here. They had to go. And then the house, after that point, it really did feel better. So he had come back, July 2nd, and the house really was feeling better. And it continued to for the next month, I would say, the inside of the house. Like it was July 9th that so it was kind of like I had noticed more and more stuff on the ring cam outside that was building. And at that point, it was kind of like, prior to that, I had seen stuff kind of like foreign objects, or the sky kind of open up and it looked like stuff would descend out of the sky and things I thought were like, weird, but it was like looked far enough in the distance. It was like, it's not my problem, whatever. Like, not interested in pursuing it or looking into this. But it was kind of like after, that second time that James had come back, I started to see like more and more stuff on the ring cam, like weird flying object looking stuff, everything from spirit, alien looking stuff, actual alien looking beings, like grays, like, you know, like kind of the common thing, which I'll get into this more later, but grays are, you know, there's a ton of beings that look like grays that actually aren't grays, but they all kind of get lumped into the same category, even though they are all very, very different. But that's another time. Anyway, so, but like gray looking beings, right? And then flying objects and whatever in the sky, or just weird looking, or like orbs or moving, like, weird shaped objects. And then also like spirit animal stuff, like a giant wolf, and like as like a protector, like in certain areas, and like, I mean, all the stuff that I was just like, what on earth? Anyway, okay, so I at that point like had just texted James and was like, hey, like, you know, the house is July 9th. Like, hey, you know, the house, inside the house is better than we've ever been, but there's like a lot of weird stuff going on the outside. Like, you know, serious question, like, how can you tell the difference between a spirit and an alien? And I had also been noticing that like my batteries for stuff, like my phone battery, like even though my phone was fully charged, at times it would just like drain all the way down. Or my Ring doorbell camera, I noticed, even though it was essentially brand new, it would be fully charged, and then like it would like be drained and have to be it'd be like out of battery like within a week or two, which is supposed to last like way longer than that. Even my electric toothbrush, like it wouldn't like continue to hold its charge. Like all this just like weird stuff, and I was just like why are all the batteries draining? Like, well, now I'm seeing alien looking beings and objects of all sorts. Like anyway, so I finally said to James, like, yeah, no, not even kidding. How do I tell the difference between an alien or a spirit activity, whatever? And he said, well, both of them completely do drain. Both of them will drain batteries. And he said, you know, for him personally, he gets a metallic taste in his mouth when aliens are around. And anyway, but yeah, at that point, like I had kind of started, like after the second time he had been here, I had kind of started to try to make myself journal, like, you know, to play ball, just trying to, you know, turn things around, get back on track, maybe listen to suggestions of the people who were trying to help me. Anyway, so I had done like a few journal entries, and okay, I kid you not. So I had texted James like during the day on July 9th, and that night I was like journaling, you know, because I like didn't know what to journal about. But I was just like, you know, I'm seeing all this like alien stuff. For some reason, I'm like not scared of the alien realm. And I'm like, you know, at least it's not spirit stuff. Like anytime it's just alien stuff, it's a relief to me. And I don't know why, because I feel like, you know, technically aliens like should like, be way scarier. They could like maybe like obliterate mankind. Or, you know, I'm just like, in theory, it's weird to me that I'm so much more scared of spirits, or like, well, you know, I guess in hindsight, it was more like the demonic crazy stuff that like really threw me for a loop. But at the time, it was just all lumped into, you know, spirit ghost in my mind. Anyway, and so I was like, you know, there has to be good aliens and bad aliens, and like they probably think humanity is like a ghetto, like how we behave, and like I was just like basically just putting some thoughts on paper to theorize about aliens. And okay, I kid you not, this is how I ended it. This was like my attempt at journaling, with a PS. I wonder if aliens like donuts or have taste buds. Like, I wish I was kidding. Like, this is the level of seriousness that I was taking it at this point. Attempting to journal, and my questions were related to their taste bud preference. Okay, so that's July 9th. Oh, how things turn so quickly. But anyway, it was between mid-July and mid-August that things started to get, like I said, continued to get weirder. And activity also started to pick up within the house again. So I would say like between mid-July and mid-August, I had a couple of things. Like, okay, so for example, one of the things was weird things that just started to happen to me, more and more weird things. And one of them was I was home alone one Saturday afternoon, and all of a sudden it was like this force of energy came over me, like straight through my heart. And it wasn't like sharp heart pains, but it was like this I don't know, this force thing went through and on my heart directly, and it was almost as if the breath had been knocked out of me. And I grabbed my heart and bent over, and okay, the best way that I can describe it is as if my home planet had gotten blown up. It was kind of almost something out of a Star Wars movie. And I was just like, oh my gosh. It was just this gut punch of something terrible has happened to so many people I love. And so I kind of just sat there thinking okay, I'm going to get a phone call. Something terrible has happened. I know it. It was just this horrible feeling. And the rest of the day went by, the next day went by, and I didn't get a phone call from anybody, or, nothing had happened. So that was a relief. But then also I was like, okay, so what happened? Where else? That made me just feel like something so tragic happened to so many people I love. It was just things like that started to happen that I couldn't really explain. Or and that's about the time too, all these different emotions would come into me, or I was why? I would certain days, or I'd go somewhere or do something else, and I'd be so sad, and it's but why am I sad? And I knew they weren't my emotions, but I still could feel the sadness. And that's kind of when all of that had started to happen. And then what else was there? Okay, at the end of July, I'll get into this more next time, but at the end of July, there was another bat incident that didn't turn out to be a bat. But I opted to get rabies vaccinations because I thought it was a bat bite. And turned out later to be an alien tag. And then, oh God, this is, I think it's going to get easier, better, more fun to talk about. And then I'm oh shoot, then I have to look at my iPhone and say this and get past this part. And okay, anyway, and then yeah, between mid-July and mid-August, there was just some more and more weird stuff. Activity in the house started to pick up with doors slamming and doors slamming, or I would wake up with my phone turned off and locked, where you couldn't press the home screen button in. And weirder things started to happen within the house. Weirder things continued to happen to me personally, unrelated to this freak show. And then some stuff that I, at the time, even at that point in time, that was weird, the bat stuff that happened again, but it wasn't. That I was gosh, just why is my life so weird? But I didn't, know until about a month and a half later. I didn't have more clarity on the bat stuff. But anyway, and then that's about the point where it was the end of August, where I texted Melissa the medium and was like, hey, I'm gonna need you to come back here and do another reading, and let me know what's going on. Because just things are weird, and even more things are weird, not even just with my house, with me too. Like, I need you to come back here and help me, give me more clarity as to specifics. And she had agreed and said, yes. So we set up a date for September 2nd. But she said, I do believe in full transparency. And if it's just, one of the things I had said in my text message was, like, I need to know if I need to move, or, if this can be sorted out, or I just am trying to figure out what to do. And she had said, she goes, yeah, we had set up a date for September 2nd. She said, but I believe in full transparency. And like, if you're just needing to know or wanting to know if you want to move, like, yeah, you do need to move. Your area is not good for you. There's kind of, I'm getting a read that there's more to it. Whatever. So, I guess that is, we're at 40 minutes. So I guess next time I'm going to pick up with, so my house now, I have learned, so, there's the quantum energy grid, and there's like ley lines and meridians. Like, there's ley lines and like certain more kind of meridians in a grid point, that, certain level density beings kind of gather around, at certain coordinates of the meridians and ley lines or whatever. And I'll get more into this later on, but, the meridians and ley lines, they kind of make up, like, so Earth itself, planet Earth, the human and populations among it, and then the galactic central sun, make up the quantum energy field, which then ley lines and meridians and all that kind of are like a part of on that grid. Well, the area that I live in, has been controlled, by certain humans and certain low level, density, like low density beings, gather around certain meridians, and then certain abuses of powers and stuff as a form of control, to like increase heightened fear and like where you are, filled with fear and kind of this sense of like you struggle to survive. You're scared of losing your job. You're scared of whatever. It's kind of like it's a form of control. Anyway, but like the whole area I live in, it's a big area that's controlled. And this has since come to light in many different forms. But anyway, the people who control it, they know how to open the portal. So the portal that was closed in my crawl space and in the back corner of my yard, those have since continued to be open every time they're closed. And even though a shaman, some energy healers, a few are qualified to close them, and which James did close them. And then certain even shamans, they're all shamans could close them too. But even shamans who do this type of work, like basically, I know now, like, it doesn't even matter. Even if I had the best shaman come and close it, the beings that operate these, anyway, know the ley lines and know how to open and work and navigate all this. They're going to continue to be open. And it's like not safe for me to be here. It's not good for me to be here. It's just been this week where a lot even more has come to light. And so, yeah, I've stayed at a friend's, like, earlier in the week, and then last night at a hotel, and then tonight, I'm going, back over to a friend's. And anyway, so I kind of want to wrap up the house stuff, and I'll get into more of this later on. But I think next time I want to talk about kind of what led to Melissa coming here, and like what led to my awakening, and then some of the events that followed that. Were kind of like my third eye was activated on top of it, and that has just kind of like spiraled into me doing this whole trust fall and the things that make me happy to talk about, as far as like what we all can do as human beings, like what we actually have access and power to. And I think I'm gonna take a break from, like, I don't know, talking about my house stuff for a while, because anyway, okay, but yeah, I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.